So if I were getting in shape for the first time, here is what I would do. I'm going to talk about four things that I would be focusing on if I didn't have a background in exercise at all. Um, to give you some pointers and tips if this is the case for you. All right. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So the first thing I would start doing if I was trying to get in shape for the first time is I would start walking. Now, walking, I have always said this, and I probably always will say this. Walking is probably like one of the best, most underrated exercise forms that there is. And the reason why is because it is a fundamental movement that is done way less than it used to be. We're in 2026 now. So we're in a day and age where cars are just ubiquitous with life. Most people have multiple cars. And it's just we drive everywhere. We'll even drive somewhere that's very easily we can easily travel to by foot, you know, and even inside of buildings and whatnot, we don't really walk much. We use elevators and so on and so forth. So walking, even if we simply just walked more, like our health would really improve. So I would walk more. And specifically, what I would do is I would even start walking like 5 minutes a day. I'm talking about like a dedicated time where I was only walking like 5 minutes a day. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I would start walking because if you want to get in shape, you know, that's just one of the things you should be doing anyway. And it's one of the easiest, most accessible things that anybody can do. All you really need is maybe a pair of good, decent shoes. So that's the first thing that I would do. The second thing that I would do is I would start strength training of some kind. Now, before I get into the types that I would consider, I want to talk about why I would consider strength training. So a lot of times when we think about strength training, we automatically think about like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lee Haney, Ronnie Coleman, bulky, big muscle, and all this kind of stuff. But that's not necessarily what I'm talking about. Strength training is simply moving your muscles against resistance for the purpose of building strength. A lot of times that also can be used for building actual muscle tissue as well, and it will result in some depending on how you train. But the goal is to build strength, and when you engage in strength training, this is why it's so important. It helps you to maintain healthy muscle and even to build healthy muscle. As we get older, if we don't use our muscles, then yes, we do lose them. As the saying goes, you don't use it, you lose it. And this can be bad. This is what tends to lead to, people get hunched over time and they start to shuffle their feet over time and kind of, movement becomes impaired, falls become more frequent. A lot of this is because of muscle loss with age. A lot of which with age really is due to years and years and years of sitting down all the time, inactivity, and so on and so forth. So strength training is one of the things I would definitely do. Another thing is strength training will ensure, especially if you're needing to lose weight, strength training will ensure that you lose the right kind of weight. You don't want to lose the muscle. You want to lose the fat, the excess fat that is. Now, in regard to the type of strength training that I would get into if I was just starting out trying to get in shape, I would do either calisthenics. And if you followed me for a while, you know that calisthenics is like my bread and butter. Or I would do machines. Okay. Now, calisthenics, that's various body weight exercises, different things like that, push-ups, pull-ups, chin-ups, dips, crunches, maybe sit-ups if you old school, body weight squats, and variations of those. Most of these require little to no equipment. And so this would almost very likely be what I was doing. As a matter of fact, I only did calisthenics and body weight exercises for a very long period of time, up until about a year ago when I actually got back in the gym. But these are very, very good exercises in that they train you to use your body weight to do functional movements that have real life applications, you know, and so therefore that means they help you to use your body better. But they're very accessible. You don't need a gym for them. And so that's one of the reasons I would use those in particular. And it's pretty easy to enter into them even if you're untrained. Case in point, say for example, you're trying to build chest strength, so you start doing push-ups. Now, push-ups on the ground, like the regular standard push-up, might be very, very difficult for the untrained person. However, you can easily um, start training for push-ups by doing them off of a wall or off of like a high table first. That's a way you don't require any extra equipment except for, of course, a table or a wall. And that's a way that you can still start to strengthen that move, even if you lack the strength for it. And so that's one of the reasons I would do calisthenics or choose calisthenics as a way to start getting in shape. Um, if I haven't tried getting in shape before. Machines, weightlifting machines are another way I would consider getting into shape if I was just starting out. Why? Because it's hard to mess up when you're using machines. A machine is like these mechanical machines at the gym, chest press, rows, leg press, um, dip machines, pull up machines, all these kind of things are built in such a way that it's a fixed plane of motion. And so you almost have to move your body in a certain way, to do these things. You can only now, sometimes people may mess up the move by like arcing their back or something like that, but it's hard to mess them up. And so it's a very low, I'm sorry about that. It's a very low bar of entry for those type of exercises. And you can adjust the weight very easily. And these will actually strengthen your body very well. Now, I would definitely progress from machines if possible to free weights or even at least incorporate calisthenics as well. Because you do kind of want to use some movements that don't necessarily fix you in one plane because they don't require your body to move so much in concert, stabilize itself, like for example, a chest press versus a push-up. Push-up is actually going to activate your abs. It's going to activate even your legs to a degree, your lower back and whatnot, whereas the chest press is almost exclusively chest and front delts, triceps, because you're in a fixed range of motion. You're sitting down on a seat, your back is against the little back pad, and you're only moving like this. That's the only movement that you're doing. Okay, but low bar of entry. So I would be using machines possibly if I was just getting into shape. A third thing I'd be doing, and this is kind of more broad concept, I would be putting my main focus on being consistent. I would start out with something small, like just give you an example. Walking 5 minutes a day, go to the gym 2 times a week, doing a full body workout routine with machines. The workout might take me 30 minutes. Okay. Do that twice a week and then walk every day for 5 minutes. Now, are you going to get a whole lot of body change from that? Well, maybe initially you'll see some significant change, but your body will probably adapt to it quickly. However, I would possibly focus on that workout routine for up to a month before changing it, because of the simple fact that one thing I've learned is that consistency is way, way more important than what you do. And the reason why that is because whatever it is that you do with your body on a consistent basis that you keep on doing again and again, that is what's going to change your body. Anybody can go, to a workout class twice. Anybody can do a bench press, and lift some heavy weight and then don't do it again until years later. Your body's not changing from those type of actions. Trust me, it's not going to. It wasn't until I learned to be consistent with workout routines that I started to see results. Basically showing up, even doing the same thing for a long time. Then I started to notice cuts in my arms, and I started to notice my muscles getting larger. I started to notice, for example, me developing more wind. that's when I started noticing stuff. So I wouldn't be concerned about trying to like go rapid fire. You know, we used to see those shows back in the day, like what's the show, Biggest Loser and Celebrity Fit Club and all those type of things, where somebody was yelling at somebody, you know, forcing them to go extremely hard. I wouldn't be concerned about that because, you know, as they say, it is kind of a marathon. I'm in this for the long run. This is my lifestyle. But another reason I wouldn't be worried about doing all that is because it's not really sustainable. It's not necessarily sustainable, you know, unless that's something that you really love, like going ultra, ultra, ultra hard from the beginning. It's also potentially dangerous too. If you've never been in shape and then you go from 0 to 1,000, that's dangerous. You don't want to like go so quickly into exercise, extreme exercise, if you haven't even tried to get in shape before. And then the fourth thing I would do is, if I had previously had a hobby, say for example, like for me, I like to play basketball. It's something I don't do a lot now. I would be planning on getting back into that. Now, the main reason is because a hobby, if you have a physical hobby, whether it be basketball, tennis, um, I don't know, golf, I mean, I suppose, if you have a physical hobby that you used to do, it could even be you playing on the playground. Maybe you miss it a whole lot. That is a great way for you to ensure that you stay in shape because it's something that you actually like to do. And one of the best ways to ensure compliance with any sort of fitness activity is to like the thing, because it's going to be easier to come back to it. Another one reason why a lot of people don't really come back to fitness, or they may do something once and then they drop off, is because they don't really like it. Now, I will also say you can develop a like for working out. I'm a witness for that. Like, I mean, of course, I've worked out ever since I was in my single digits. But my point is, if you can start getting back into a hobby, something that you used to like to do, whether you played it in high school as like a school sport or whatever, you know, you ultimate frisbee, like I used to see the dudes playing in college, um, soccer, I don't know. I would be setting my sights on eventually getting back into that. Not necessarily immediately, but I would be aiming for that. Now, if you're like me, you're at or around 40 years old and whatnot, you may think those days are long gone. But as I always say, all of that stuff is according to your own belief. A lot of people believe that, and they told us, "Hey, you're over the hill at such and such age. You can't do that stuff no more." It's not true unless you believe that. Now, I have no aspirations of getting into the NBA. You know, I mean, of course I don't, but I like basketball. I like it, and I intend to get back into it. Um, but as it can be very, very high intensity, even though I work high intensity, I'm going to gradually get back into it because I like to do it. Okay. But anyway, these are four things that I would do if I was getting in shape for the first time. Let me know which one of these things resonates with you. Let me know if there's anything else that you have in mind that you would do to get in shape for the first time. Or if you're a person who is getting in shape for the first time and you have a question, put it in the comments. Okay. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I appreciate you guys for watching.